Hey, I love that intro. Hello, everybody. My name is Jerry, and welcome to 3D HP. Each and every week, I'm doing live streams now, and today my special guest is Shane with FugaTech 3D Printing. He is a really awesome dude. He streams 3 times a week. He's always building and changing printers, modifying things, building his own. Let me bring him in, and we'll say hello to him. Hey, Shane, how you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing? Thanks for having me. This is really fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Who do we have in chat? Non-Farm, hello. Brandon Knapp, hello. I've got to pull my YouTube back up. I'm not seeing everybody. Oh. Yeah, you stream what, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday?
I do Monday and Fridays, which usually I put out a video on Mondays and Fridays, but I've just been really busy and haven't been having time to actually make videos. So I've decided to do a bunch of builds. And then Saturdays is always my just Saturday night hangout where I either work on a project or just come hang out, take questions from anybody who's asking, things like that. But yeah, right now it's been 3 days a week.
Yeah, I just about got my chat fixed here.
Nam, what's up? Brandon.
And we got 5 watching at the moment. Anyway, today, tomorrow, next week, there'll be more people who watch this and we'll go on. 3D Printing Llama. Hello, Llama. How are you? Robert Reynolds. Glad to see you. Anyway, I wanted to have you on today because you're an amazing guy. You do a lot of cool stuff, and I try to get makers and designers on my channel each and every week so we can kind of see behind the scenes, talk about things you may not normally talk about in your live streams. And anyway, if I could, I'd like to ask you my first question.
Yeah, let's get to it.
What got you interested into 3D printing? That's the favorite one, and you know about how all that started and how to come about.
It's actually a pretty funny story because I was convincing my wife it was either to buy a drone or get a 3D printer. And I needed a 3D printer because we had bought a kid's playhouse at a garage sale. And it was very cool. We travel a lot. And it's made out of basically 1/2-inch aluminum tubes. And they have connectors that go in there. And they basically hold all the tubes together. You make this frame. And then it's a fabric cover that goes over it. And it zips up, and then you have like this 2 house you put together. It's very easy. It's very lightweight. You can travel with it. It's really good. Well, one of the parts were broken when we got it. And I was like, well, you know, if I had a 3D printer, hon, I could fix this. And she said yes. So I bought my first ZYLTECH Prusa. It was a ZYLTECH i3 aluminum. A very, very crummy printer, but got it working for a while. And then I bought the Logitech FT5 shortly after there. And that's really what spun it up. I've been debating YouTube for computer modding. I was a computer modder before I was, I mean, not professional, but semi-professional, I guess. I mean, I've had a few magazines and I've been featured in things. I used to do competitions for computer modding, but I wanted to do YouTube for a long time. And I thought about doing computer modding, but at the rate that other people were getting hardware sponsored from NVIDIA, Intel, things like that, I could not keep up personally. So I decided, you know what, let's try something new. 3D printing is pretty new. I'm interested in it. Let's create a YouTube channel and just learn. And that's basically how I wanted to start my YouTube career, was just me playing around and trying out different things. And that's how it started up.
You have Prusa printers, right? You got some printers by Prusa, right?
I have one. So right here, right there, that is my original Prusa i3 Mark III. And then has been upgraded for free because Prusa sent out the S upgrade for free. I did have an MMU2, upgraded to MMU2S for a while, but I was very unhappy with the product, so I sold it.
Yeah, I've never bought a Prusa. I've always been into Coralities and things that I can afford, but more in my budget. I thought about getting their cantilever printer. That's like $350. Their smaller one, but I haven't done it. They're mini. I haven't done it yet, but I would like to. If not, I might build one from scratch like you did. I'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, so that one I saved up a lot of my, so I get funding a lot of different ways through YouTube and Patreon and affiliate link usage. I saved up money for quite a few months, and this one is completely funded by the viewers of my channel using the different links that I have, things like that. It was, I think it was the second printer I ever bought with YouTube funds. The first one being the Monoprice Select Mini for, I think that was like about 160 when that was out. It was a big deal a few years ago when I bought that and started doing a lot of modding to it and things like that. But yeah, that was super awesome and fun to be able to buy. Took forever to get because that was back also. I've had that for just over, or just about 2 years now I've had that. And
Okay.
yeah, it took like 7 months originally to get it because that's the backlog back then. But since then, I've cloned it with my Prusa i3 Mark III S clone. That was a DIY build. I bought all the parts individually from AliExpress or Amazon, and wherever I could find the absolute cheapest parts. And I just wanted to see if I could make my own, and it was very easy. Actually, that worked out really, really well.
Let me pull
And
up a
then
few pictures here, and you can tell me what we're looking at. I don't have
okay.
them in any specific order.
So this right here, this is Megatron. So this is one that one of my patrons, Aaron, he's in chat actually as well. So Aaron and I designed this. This was a 1 week challenge that I set for the two of us. And the frame is actually from my ZYLTECH 2020 i3. So very, very basic $220 2020 frame 3D printer. Again, super duper basic. It was direct drive as well, which is why I liked it when I originally got it, and that was given to me by my followers for a new dad gift when I had my son Luke. They band together and bought me that through crowdfunding, and I wanted to make that printer anew. So I told Aaron, let's take a week. It was like Sunday night. I said I want to do a live stream on Friday, but I want to design a brand new 3D printer with this frame. He said, okay, let's do it. So we spent literally like every single night, 6-7 hours a night designing that printer. And it's based off of basically the bare conversion of the Prusa for the most part. So we are using the straight bare X-axis and bare extruder. It's fantastic. There's no reason to design your own at that point. But everything else was either remixed or designed from scratch by Aaron and myself. Hey, Brandon. So Brandon and Aaron are both in the chat. They are both my moderators for Discord and for YouTube, and they also both are patrons, longtime patrons of my channel that really have been helping me out with a lot of things. But yeah, so that build was a lot of fun. It just finished. It's published on Thingiverse now, and it seems like a lot of people are liking it so far.
What's the build volume? 220 by 220 about, or?
It's a Prusa bed, so it is 250 on the X, 210 on the Y, and it's a little taller than Prusa. LDO cut me some special motors, so I'm actually 265 on the Z, just because I didn't want to cut the extrusion. I was using the extrusion that I had from the ZYLTECH, and I needed to make it a little bit taller, and they said that they would sponsor the build with some taller motors custom made for it, so that was very nice of them to do that.
About how many printers do you think you've owned in your lifetime that have came and gone, or I could ask?
The highest I had at one point, I think it was 24. I saw them talk about it. I had 24, 25 at my peak. I've now dwindled down quite a bit. I still have 3 resin printers and I have 15 FDM printers right now. Most of them actually now are ones that I've built. And I've been kind of getting more into that. So that's been more of my shtick the past probably 3 months, is building custom machines and less trying to reach out to companies and say, hey, send me your printer to review, because it's kind of getting boring doing that. And I never get the first dibs because I'm a smaller channel. You always see the really big channels are the ones that are really active on social media. They're kind of the first, like everyone who got the Crowdy V2 wasn't me. So there's a lot. I figured, you know what? Let's other people do that. If I get them, great. If not, that's fine. But I've been having a great support from people watching my channel and patrons that I'm able to start buying and building a lot of more custom machines.
I got lucky with Corality. I went on one of their Facebook groups. I found one of the administrators that I thought might be an important person. I asked, and they sent me one. And the only other time I've got a free printer was from TiVo last year. A friend of mine in Texas hooked me up with the CEO of TiVo, and he sent me the funds on PayPal, and I went and bought it off Amazon, and that's only twice that's happened. And you're a much bigger channel than I am. I'm tiny compared to you. But yeah, a lot of really huge channels, you're right. Yeah, they tend to get the stuff first, and it's because of exposure, and the company wants to make money off them. Exposure. But a lot of the smaller guys appreciate that free item more than the bigger channels. But then again, it's not really free, because after you build it and you do videos and you edit and you post pictures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's a lot of man hours. So actually, it's not really free. So,
yeah, correct. Yeah, you're only getting the machine. So a $200 printer uses its time up. That money, that $200 goes very, very quickly. Especially when you're doing live streams to do builds. Again, you're doing all the editing. You figure if you're averaging about $35 an hour. If you were to pay an editor $35 an hour, you wouldn't even get a video done with that $200. Like it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
when I do side work for people, handyman type stuff around the house, I charge 25 an hour, which is dirt cheap compared to what a company would charge. But even at 25 an hour, I, paid for that printer 10 times over. And I would love to build a resin printer from scratch, since I can't afford a $2,000 or $2,500 giant resin printer. I should be able to build one. I just need to get the materials and supplies, and I bet I could do one for under $500. Maybe, I don't know. I need to research it. I'm speculating.
Sick, 2020 is really good use for pretty much everything. You can build 2020 printers as big as you want, basically.
And there's another really cool picture here. You pull up.
Yeah, so this is my DIY Prusa Bear. So this is, again, me trying to source out the cheapest parts that I can to make a Prusa Bear. So it's all clone parts. The only original part is actually the flex plate. When there is original, that is from Prusa. I just bought some new ones because they're really good. But this one is giving me a lot of issues using the Bear firmware on the NZ board with very, very cheap motors. It wasn't a problem on the Prusa frame, the Mark III frame. It's very forgiving. It doesn't have such tight tolerances. There's a lot of looseness in it. But with the Bear, being it's 2040, it's really, really, really tight tolerances. My skew is 0.15 degrees on the x-axis. So it's very, very tight. Like that is tiny. And the fact that the printer knows that is your skew is ridiculous. So the one thing that I'm having issues is trying to get a firmware to work properly. And thankfully, through live streaming, I've made a ton of great friends, and they've all joined my Discord. And I have one of them that has been helping me out with all of the Bear firmware because he's able to compile it and he understands it way better than I do. I can say, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And he's like, cool. He does the changes, suits me the hex file. I load it up. I'm like, nope, that didn't work. Let's try this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've been pushing this for the past week now. And he just sent me another one right before we went live. So I have another one to try out.
Another thing cool about StreamYard, the program I'm using here, you can get it for free and you can try it out. You don't have to go live. You can hook up with your buddy and sit there on video and talk to each other about your problems on video instead of trying to type back and forth. You can just do what we're doing now without going live. It's really cool.
Yeah, I never thought about doing that. We because I have a Discord server, we generally end up using that. We've had Aaron actually will stream, sometimes once a week or every other week when he's doing some 3D modeling. A lot of people like to tune into him when he's doing fusion work. Or I'll just go in there and hang out. People will come in. Sometimes we'll get nobody. Sometimes we'll get 10 people to show up, and everyone's working on something different. So it's a lot of fun to be able to do that.
Well, here's a picture of my hobby room for those people that haven't seen it. I show this every week just for the hell of it. This used to be a living room in my house, and as you can see, I print way too much, and I've got way too many models. And there's underneath that tall printer in the background, that's an Ender 3 behind the Hypercube. That Ender 3 that I made 500 millimeters tall, I modded it. There's a shelf underneath that's 8 foot long, close to the floor. It's got nothing but models that are not painted. So I've got way too much stuff everywhere. So
and you paint way more than I do. I have an airbrush kit, and I have all the tools. It's actually in that gray bin right here, but I've only used it like twice now, and I really need to do more printing for just little things and just play around with the airbrush kit, because I bought it to do that. I just haven't done it yet. I really need to.
I've had mine for 2 or 3 years, my airbrush. I knew nothing about it when I bought it. I mean, I've sprayed with rattle can my whole life, like most people, painting whatever. And airbrush, I was tinkering around. I get a lot of clogs with it, but like I say, there's plenty of YouTube videos and people that explain how to do this, how to do that. And recently I started using some spray gun cleaner to clean it out better, and it's keeping it real clean. So a lot of the dried up paint stuff, so that's been working real well. But it's not that hard. Just kind of take your time, figure it out, watch some videos. The same with painting. A lot of people said, well, I got 2 left thumbs, I can't paint. Slow down, take your time, wear glasses, have plenty of light. When you get older, you have to. But it's not that hard. So
yeah, I even made a paint booth for here in my office, so I can move the table, set up a fan, and I have a little booth to do it in. I haven't even used it yet. I created it. Oh heck, what was that? Almost a year ago. I made it, but I haven't used it yet. So
yeah, I bought a little spray booth off Amazon. It folds open the sides and it's got a fan on it. And I've been using that, but a lot of my prints are too big for it. So I got to kind of spray midair. So I went and bought some plywood particle board here a while back. Well, that works.
The one that I made that just folds up, has LEDs in it, uses magnets to stay open. And yeah, but again, haven't even used it.
And then I found out mine doubles as a paint photo booth. Since I got this big giant box over here that when I'm not painting, I can get some particle board or whatever colored paper from the dollar store, put it in it with my LED, and I can take pictures to post online. It works perfect. So it's a spray booth or it's a photo booth. Works really good.
Double duty, love it.
Anybody in chat have any comments, questions? Please ask. We've got the man here himself. German printing nerd. Hello, Don. How you doing? Let's see. On to the next picture. Let's see. Well, let's see. Number 3. Do you have a favorite print that you've ever done?
So I was thinking about that. You told me that the other night, and I'm trying to think exactly what it was. And it probably comes down to, let me grab it here again.
I'm going to full screen you.
Oh, so Thor's hammer. I did this, oh, heck, probably 2.5 years. Actually, more now, probably 3 years ago, I printed this. I don't know why, but it's Thor's hammer. Like,
yeah.
there's just nothing cooler than Thor's hammer. I believe this is Chaos Cortex model of it. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy to print. It's 3 parts for the handle, 2 parts for the head. It's mostly hollow. It's got a big hollow center in it, but it's got about a good, I'd say, 3/4 inch around, and the ends are pretty heavy. And I mean, it prints on each face like this, and you just glue it together. And it's just, I don't know. Again, it's just, I have Thor's hammer. Like, I'm a huge Marvel nerd. I've been a superhero fan my entire life. Read the comics when I was a little kid. My brother had them, so I would read those from him. But yeah, it's just, some of these are just really, really cool just to have and to show off. And anytime someone comes to my house, and especially when they bring kids over, you know, they're always like, "Oh my God, is that Thor's hammer?" I'm like, "Yes, it is."
I got one here I'm trying to grab, and I just broke my model. I walked by, oh man, where'd it go?
Oh, you got a little one.
By the Mandalorian, I broke off his rifle. So I got the Mandalorian's rifle right here. He just broke off the model. It's okay. It was at a glue joint. I can glue it back on. Here's a mini Thor's hammer that I did. Creality calls this Quake. It was on the Ender 3 on the SD card. So I printed that out in Arion, I don't know, purple something, sparkly something. Can't remember. We had 3 pieces. I want to print a big one, make it heavy, but I don't have it yet. And then I can keep it by the front door for people, for burglars or telemarketers or somebody trying to sell me something other than cookies.
Yeah, it's what's his name? So the Hacksmith, he's a Canadian inventor, a YouTuber, and he's made like 7 or 8 different Thor hammers. I think he might have the record for the heaviest one. It's like was like 100 and some kilos. Like, it is ridiculously heavy.
Mm-hmm. You could put on a metal base, have some kind of a magnet in it, and have a switch set up where you hit a button and it releases. No one else can pull it loose.
Yeah, he had an RFID chip in his ring that he made. So he would put it down on a piece of metal. They would try to pick it up. All he had to do was put his hand on it over the RFID reader where his ring went, and then it released the it was electromagnet. So no one was picking that up. I mean, a crane could try to pick it up, and it wouldn't work. Yeah, it would be fun to put a strong neomagnet. The only problem is how many people have metal floors. Like, it's really cool. Yeah. But who has a metal floor? So unless you've got a manhole cover sitting around somewhere, you know, it's better just to do what he did, which make it full lead and make it as heavy as you can.
Last week, Jim on the Edge of Tech was showing one of the videos from NAC 3D Design. He's just testing the belt printer from Creality that they came out with, which I guess is probably based off his own design. But I forgot to show the second video that he did. So I want to share my screen and show that to everybody. Let me see where it's at. Got it right here, and I'll pull it up. I'd like to play this real quick. It only lasts a few minutes long. Most people don't use their treadmills, but here's a treadmill at its best.
Yeah. And for anybody unfamiliar, this is a belt printer, which is very different. Not very different. It's still an FDM printer, but operates very differently from any normal printer that most anyone has ever seen.
And we were just talking about this. It'd be really cool to
print at an angle. It's super cool looking.
Yeah, he's been running He's been running a bunch of live streams lately on different things he's been running lately, printing on his channel, Knack 3D Design.
Yeah, he did do a live stream the other day. I missed it.
Well, if Creality winds up getting this developed and it winds up in America, as long as it's reasonable, people will buy them. If it's too high, well, then they won't.
Yeah, so well, I'll wait till it's done because I've got my things with this.
That's about it. Let me turn off that video.
So again, that's Creality has created that, and it's based off of the White Knight, which it was developed as a belt printer, so he can print. It's basically infinite on your Y, so it's infinite Y, and which is very cool because Ultimaker did the infinite Z, which basically the printer moves up as it prints, so it's very cool. But this is the infinite Y, and it's cool, but the problem with that is, and he said it himself, is that models have to be designed specifically for the belt printer because it prints on an angle. That's why the Chep Cube didn't come out great. That's why the back of the Benchy looked like crap. It just looked like a bunch of strings on the back of it because those models are not designed to be printed at whatever that's 40-some degree angle. I don't think it's perfectly 45. I think it's a little different in there. Because he did comment that their angle was a little harsh, that he thinks it should be a little less, more like a 35. When I was talking to him before about it. But when I first saw that come out, I was like, wow, did they really just clone the White Knight? They basically took an Ender 5, tilted it, so it went like from here, just tilted it down and then put a belt on it. And the problem is, this is really cool. But I fear that people are going to buy this printer expecting it to be a CR10, which is basically the CR10 and the Ender 3 are the golden children of Creality. They are fantastic machines for a very low cost. Well, the Ender 3, obviously, I saw an ad yesterday for $160 for an Ender 3. And the CR10, a little more expensive, but regardless, they're fantastic machines. I had a 10 and a 10S.
Yes.
I just fear that people are going to buy that expecting it to be those machines and be horribly disappointed because 99.9% of the models on Thingiverse are not designed to be printed at an angle. So, I mean, it's very cool. If you're doing small prototyping or you're trying to do batches, things like that, you just want to keep rolling it off into a bucket, cool. But for the most part, I feel a lot of people are going to end up being disappointed with the machine, not because of its Creality as the machine, but because what that machine is actually designed for, which is making the 8-foot-long Thanos sword. It's not meant for making Pikachus or Watchwinder parts. It's not meant for this. It's meant for making humongously long objects that are created specifically for that. And that's my only shtick with it. I just feel that whoever ends up creating the what's it called? What's that called? The CR 6030. What's that called?
I think it was a CR30
or CR6. CR6 SE.
Okay.
I think that's what they're calling it. But regardless, whoever ends up creating that like support group on Facebook is going to get pounded with people just like, I can't get this to work and I can't get this to work and bed adhesion. And it's just, I don't know. It's cool that they're going that route. It's very cool that they sent him one to help with. I do hope he's being compensated for it because it is his design. And Creality is known for stealing people's designs and coming back months, if not years later, and then crediting the person. I mean, all the mods that came out for the Ender 3.
But hopefully that won't happen here.
It took them 8 or 10 months to actually credit those creators.
Yeah, it's like my Ender 3 that I have here that I modded, and I took it 500 millimeters tall. I won't print on a daily basis on that machine. It's for specific things. Or you go out and you buy a chocolate printer that nobody needs for $1,500 to $2,000. That's only for certain things. It isn't for everyday use. It's just a novelty type thing, I guess, for certain reasons. If you got a print farm and you want to print 200 of something you designed and sell them on Etsy, something like that, you can just keep it running rather than have to change it, clean the bed off, and pop them off and reload the firmware. What'd be interesting is if you use that belt printer and have multiple G codes stacked up, So it prints one file, like 100 of this, and then 100 of that. And then it, have a big spool or have a filament run out center where you can swap it and start changing without having these Octoprint and load every file. I don't know if that would be possible to grab the next file and keep going.
The size of that file would be insane.
Yeah.
Because I remember, who is it? I think it was Devin that did where he had a print happen. He was using the Anycubic i3 Mega with the Ultra Base, where he would do a print, let the bed cool down, then he did a motion to pull the bed forward, lower the head, pull the bed back, and basically would push the model off the bed, and then it would reset and print again. But that was basically, I think he just stacked the G code in a file. But again, the file got huge eventually, and running that on an 8-bit processor, I highly doubt that printer's 32-bit number one. I highly doubt they're using silent stepper drivers. Highly doubt that. They're probably using their old school 8-bit integrated stepper drivers, which is what they're known to use. Their hot end is not fantastic. Everyone knows that. The part cooling, I think, could be better, because I don't think dual 4010s is a good use, especially for something like that printer. And also that printer, why use a 0.4 millimeter nozzle? It's like buying, it's the CR30. Okay, I was right the first time. But yeah, again, it's very interesting that they're doing it. I wish them the best in the endeavor, but I just think that it's going to be a support nightmare for a company that offers no support.
Something I wanted to say and I lost it. What was I forgot? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention to everybody. When you watch my videos or my live streams, quite often I'll say something and then 5 minutes later I say it again. Why? Because I'm getting old and forgetful. I repeat myself a lot. I don't mean to do that. So if you ever catch me in a stream saying, hey, Jerry, you just said that, I'll try to remember that, I guess I could say. But, that just happens. I get really forgetful at times. Let me pull up another picture until I remember what I was going to say. I think I showed this one already, didn't I? No, I didn't.
No, okay. So this is another one of the builds that I'm doing that's Patreon funded. So this is the BLV MGN Cube, and it is a super duper over-engineered Core XY. The design was really cool looking, which is why I decided to build it. So Ben Levi is BLV, that's what it stands for. So he's the one that designed this printer. And again, it is an absolute brick house. It is super duper heavy. Like, I would probably say once it's all said and done, it's gonna be close to over 100 pounds.
Wow.
It's all 2040. There are a few design issues with it, but overall, it's a very cool design. Aaron and I are working on redesigning some of these parts to make them a little more printable and just a little more economical for how they're supposed to be used. Some of them have a little bit oddities to them, which you can't really understand, like why you would create this piece here to do this. It's a very also unique belt run. Again, it's still Core XY, but the way the idlers work in the back and they self-tension in a way is very interesting. But yeah, so that's going to be one of my next larger builds. That's a direct drive BMG with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. And I wanted I have a hypercube, so a small Core XY. I wanted a larger one to be able to print out some larger objects and see kind of how it stacks up against things like the FT5, the X1, and the CR10S, which are my other large format printers that I have.
Yeah, I have one that I built from a kit from ZYLTECH. It's Evolution Hypercube 400 by 400 by 500. It's all 30/30 extrusion except for the bed that's 20/20. Really super heavy duty frame at 30/30. But one thing about a Hypercube, at least with this one, when you get it, you get a box of parts. Now it's time to go on Thingiverse, watch YouTube videos, figure out how to put it together and what order to put it together. So while you're making videos online, next video you come out with a week or two later, you might have made changes and you might remember to tell people, or they might just notice it in the video. So whenever you guys want to build a Hypercube, watch all the videos, go to the end, and then you see what might have got changed along the way, or you'll make the same mistakes. Once you build your first one, the second one's a piece of cake. It's just getting the first one done to realize in what steps and where things go. But it was a lot of fun. It was a fun project.
Yeah, I remember when they originally came out with that kit. It was right after I built my Hypercube from scratch. So this is Tech 2C's Hypercube. It's not an Evolution. So I just wanted to follow his videos. I did a build series, like 6 or 7 parts. Took forever to do because I kept sidelining it. So it ended up taking a little over a year to actually finish the project. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. There's some things I'd like to change with it, but I've been busy on so many other things. I think I'll revisit that again soon. Niam's asking if I'm going to make a library of the parts. Yes, eventually. Again, Aaron and I really haven't started on it yet. We've been talking about it. I think he's done some dabbling on the side. I've also done some dabbling on the side, but we haven't actually done a joint Fusion file yet, which are several projects that he and I work on that we just have a joint shared Fusion file so that he can kind of go into it, I can go into it and make the changes, and then we can see it and kind of collab with Fusion, which is really, really awesome to do.
If anybody's watching on Facebook, I'm streaming this on my group, then on my regular Facebook page. Please leave a comment, because every comment here is from YouTube. And when you see the video, don't click on the video. Right above it where it describes it, it says StreamYard/share. You click on that, you give StreamYard Facebook permission to share this with StreamYard, then I can see your comments on screen. Otherwise, if you would just go below Facebook and comment in the regular comment area, I'll never see it until after I get off and go to the Facebook and look around. And on to another cool picture. Oh, one thing about my Hypercube I wanted to mention. My belts were kind of loose, and I printed out this little test box right here. And it came out pretty good. The finish is pretty good on it. So then I went ahead and I jumped in and printed by Sanix. I done a bust of Robocop. I've got really bad Z banding. Really bad Z banding in that thing. It's like every quarter of an inch. There's like a quarter-inch area, and I've been trying to sand it out and work it out. So I tightened up the belts, and I done another test print, which was this box right here. It's not very tall. I need to go taller, and it came out pretty good. So I got to this one side. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's real rough. It's like it's melted. A lot of extrusion issues on the one side of the print. But other than that, it came out real nice. I just got to get it dialed in better. Of course, the bed just moves up and down. I don't have any binding. I've oiled everything. Everything is greased with white lithium grease or super lube. And then I got some other oil that's really thin that I put on the rods also. And I don't know why, but for some reason it's not quite right. So I need to get it worked out. Here's a picture here I want to pull up.
Oh yeah, so again with the BLV, I had to modify a lot of parts, and for the LCD that I got, this is the V3 from Big Tree Tech of their TFT TFT 35 version 3. So it's touchscreen or dial. No one had a remixed file for that, so I went ahead and remixed my own. Kind of put it on an angle, and this part, the yellow part, actually slots in, and then you just glue it down. So that was another view of it. I got the yellow to match. It's all black and yellow, calling it Bumblebee. But yeah, it's just been that took a couple nights to figure out. I wanted to make it articulating, but I was kind of like, do I really want to put in another like 12 hours into modeling this thing? No, we're just gonna make it static and make it easy.
Yeah, I put a TFT 35 on my Hypercube. I've got a SKR 1.4 turbo board in it. And the touch screen, I usually use the conventional mode that everybody's been using forever. The regular screen, I don't go to the touch screen mode much, but it is there. Just push it, and it's pretty cool. So, and then it's on I found a little mount on Thingiverse, and I had to modify it, and it sits in the bottom rail. And then if I ever do a really tall print, I'll just tilt it forward because it kind of leans back like this at an angle. I'll just tilt it straight up so the bed don't come down and crash into it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And this is another, again, thing that I designed for the printer. So again, it has the direct drive, but there was no real way to properly cable manage a direct drive. And I'm very much for cable management, especially of your, again, this is running a reverse Bowden tube, but all of these wires need to be managed properly. So I made a file, and I also used a notch out of the Prusa book, which was to use 3mm nylon as a kind of support to kind of just help. And granted, there is the PTFE tube up there giving it support, but that is separate from the actual wires. And I wanted a piece of nylon to run in there just to give it a little more volume to that. So when it bends, that it has a nice arc to it and it doesn't droop down into the part, because it's going to suck if you're doing a 40-hour print on a humongous printer and your cable comes down and gets in the way. There's that infamous, what was that printer? I think it was a CR10 or maybe an Ender 3 or something. There's a picture going around where a guy was doing this long print and his cable got into a window of his print and his printer printed over it. So his cable was embedded in the print. and he had to like cancel the print, cut it out, and then go back. And it was just like, all right, well, it's a fluke, and I never want that to happen to one of my machines.
So we got any questions? Hello, Ben Brady. Next picture. Let's see, what do we got here?
Again, another model part. So I created these feet for the CR10 years ago, and I've been modifying them for different printers. So the CR10, the CR10S, the Hypercube, the FT5, all use a variation of this. And these are using racquetballs. So they're larger than squash balls, which a lot of people use. They have a lot more volume to them. They don't squish as easily as a racquetball, and they are fantastic for noise dampening. So once you put this thing down onto solid floor, something like that, you can't even hear the printer. So the printer will vibrate, and I get a lot of questions about this. Does your printer moving affect print quality? The answer is no. As long as your gantries remain however they're moving, then that's fine. But if your gantries are shaking as you're printing, then that's different. But as long as your frame is solid and they are moving however they need to move, back and forth, X, Y, your Z, as long as those are solid in reference to each other, you see zero issues with that. And I have that on many printers, and I've done full height prints, and you don't have any Z banding, you don't see any movement in there. It just works because the inertia is the entire printer moving, not just the feet.
My first CR10s, when I bought them, I got yoga mats, black yoga mat, and I cut it, and they sit on that, and one in my enclosure for printing ABS. My other printers just sit on the wooden countertop, and I haven't done anything, modified them. But that's a great idea, is just to print feet and have them spongy, because that would work also. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot. I mean, that's kind of an overkill, and that's really made for all the big, heavy printers. It's not really made for any of the small ones. For the Bear example, all you have to do is print the feet and TPU. It comes with very, very small feet. But just doing those feet and TPU make a world of difference because you don't have that constant hum. And I mean, this plastic table that I use for my live streaming is this cheap, Sam's Club, what's it called, Lifetime or whatever it's called.
Like a yard sale table, they fold up.
Yeah. But this one folds all the way up and then folds in half. It's very compact, so I can get it in my office out of the way because obviously my space is very small.
Yes.
And you can hear the vibrations through this like crazy. But as soon as I put a printer over on one of my racks that has any type of vibration feet to them, you can't hear them at all, which is great. Even if they do have older Allegra drivers in them, it quiets it down so much more just because your build surface is insulated. And all of my racks all have foam core board on them with the white shelving. It's just foam core on the metal racks. And that eliminates so much noise. So I can have all these printers going and you're just hearing your X and Y. You're not hearing the vibration into the metal rack, into the floor, into the wall. It eliminates a lot of that.
Do you have Octoprint set up in any of them with a Pi, or you just run around and pop in the SD card?
For 99% of them, I use the SD card. I did put a OctoPi on the Mark III S because that's also hooked up to the Palette 2S Pro. And you can slice in Canvas and directly send it to your Pi, and then it automatically starts the Canvas, or it automatically starts the palette and the printer together, and you just have to go and do the initial loading procedures. So that is still manual regardless, but that saves me from getting 2 SD cards out, putting the right file on each one, putting those SD cards back in the right device, starting each one up manually. It saves a ton of time to do that. And I recently just put one on Megatron purely just for experimentation. I wanted to see how it would run off of Octoprint. And just because that's kind of my go-to printer, I made it. Why not use it a lot? So it makes it easier just to slice something, throw it over there, and just let it print.
Question number 4. Do you have any teasers on upcoming projects you might be doing? If you might want to tell us a little bit about or not.
So I don't have any teasers printed. I kind of wish I did. So recently, Cults 3D, so the one of the big repository websites, My Manufacturing, Cults, and Thingiverse are the 3 big ones. They reached out to me and asked me if I would do some projects using things off of their website, and they would provide them to me for free. And then the first few people that I choose also get the files for free. So they've actually sent me a few new projects that I've been wanting to do. Some are just I can print gigantic boats. I think my son would really like them, and they're very cool looking boats that float. Kind of like Benchy doesn't float.
Yeah.
Which, kind of ironic. But someone modeled another one. It's called the Toy Boat. It's very similar to a Benchy, but it does float. And I print a lot of my test prints, or a lot of test filaments, I print that model. And I get my son a little army. Well, these ones are very cool looking, and they do float. And I was like, well, I've got the X1 with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle in it, so why not try some of those out with a large diameter nozzle, some big fat layers, and see how they turn out. So more of kind of testing that. But yeah, so Cult has sponsored 3 new projects coming up. I just haven't gotten time to work on them yet. I need to make time for that. But it's pretty much just a lot of my live streams have been all the projects I'm working on. So just rounded out Megatron. I'm still working on the Bear, the BLV, and my my little cheap $130 printer.
Yeah.
Is another one that I'm working on. That's the printer design challenge on my channel.
Yeah, I remember when you had the video on that. It doesn't matter how much it costs. If it prints, that's great. There's no reason to spend a lot of money if you can cut corners. The only reason big companies sell things at the price they do is they buy hundreds, if not thousands, of a part, and they can mass produce it and drop the price or jack it up, whichever it may be, depending on where you live. So I know if I could go to China on vacation and buy a lot of stuff in person and be allowed to bring it back on my luggage, I could probably save a ton of money instead of buying it off Amazon here. You know, buy it directly from their
I can vouch for that. I lived in China for 3 years. I lived in Beijing, and absolutely, you can get things incredibly cheap there. I mean, insanely cheap. What you would buy in the U.S., you're talking a fraction of the cost what I could buy it when I was there. And there's also, since we're on the topic, there's 2 types of made in China. So this shirt probably I'm wearing says made in China. It's decent quality. It's pretty good. It's comfortable. But then there's made in China for export, and there's made in China for China.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different quality. Wow. You're getting maybe a year use out of whatever you buy that's made in China for China, maybe a year of use. It could be clothing. It could be electronics. It could be Bose speakers that are obviously faux. You know, they're not real.
Bose speakers.
You'll get a year out of those electronics. But
wow.
They cost a fraction. I mean, I could get a big Bose speaker for $20 when that's $300 on Amazon. Is it going to last as long as the real one would? No. But does it work? Yeah. So you kind of weigh the pros and cons when you're there. Like, what am I comfortable buying? What am I comfortable spending money on, knowing it's only going to last so long?
Yeah, there's a man on YouTube I watch all the time, Serpenza. I think his name is Serpenza. And he's got a lot of great videos about Shenzhen and a lot of things that are happening and don't happen and the way people are treated from around the world. A lot of cool videos. Do you have any other hobbies other than 3D printing? Do you have anything else you'd like to maybe talk about you like to do outside of 3D printing?
So the one thing that I used to be really, really big into was computer modding, as I noted before. I built a lot of custom rigs. I've done a lot of not just building a custom rig. I mean, doing hardline tubing. I do in all my rigs now. But it's also more of just case modifications. So one of the ones I did was a steampunk theme, and I actually painted the case with an iron oxide paint and then oxidized it to create real rust, and then clear coated it to kind of seal that rust in to give it a very authentic look. I leather wrapped most of the case as well, added in some crazy cogs, some Nixie tubes, and I ended up doing copper tubing for the water cooling, which oddly enough, I was the first person to ever do that. So it was a lot of fun to do that. That was one of my magazine features, which was really cool to see. Never had been in a magazine before, but to see something that I created on a magazine is just like, oh, heck, check that out. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so computer modding has always been my thing. Computer building is kind of like my other big passion aside from 3D printing for the tech world.
Years ago here in Vegas, they had paintball going on at another place in town when I was in my 20s, and the RJ, the local paper, had done a write-up on it, and they took a picture of me shooting somebody with a paintball and had my name in the paper, so that was really cool, getting plugged. And then when I was in fourth grade or fifth grade, I was sick when the class wrote letters to the president, and they all got pictures back in the mail, and I got back when I was, after I was being sick, and I had caught up and I wrote him something. My dad was out of work at the time. It was President Ford, and he was busy golfing somewhere instead of what I felt he should be doing, helping my dad get a job. So my letter wasn't very nice to him in fifth grade. And then I never got a response. Like 3 or 4 weeks later, a man comes out from California to talk to my class, and he was with the Department of Energy or something. And evidently President Ford had directed him. He had read my letter, directed this man to come talk to my class about my letter. I wasn't in trouble, but that was cool. That I guess the president actually did read it at that time. So I've got that framed in another room. I don't have a copy of my original letter, but I do remember I wasn't very nice in it, what I was talking about when I was in 5th grade. So that was something pretty neat.
Yeah, I have a 5th grader. I can only imagine what she would write in a letter to the president.
Yeah. Here's what I'm currently printing. It's going to be, my wife wanted me to print this. Here's a render of the Duke, John Wayne. This is by a designer called Fragments. He's all over Facebook. He does a lot of cool work. And I'm currently printing the base. Here's what I currently have going on behind me on one of my CR10s. If you heard some noise in the background, I'm printing a base at 200% at a PLA with Jesse PLA from Printed Solid right now, working on that. So that's my current project. And I think I'm going to bronze it. I don't think I'm going to try to paint it. It might look too much like a cartoon. I think I'm going to just bronze it when I get done. Have a couple of shades of bronze. But it looks pretty nice. So I'll have to wait and see how it turns out once it's printed.
Might be cool to do a matte, just a matte black, and then rub and buff it.
Yeah, I do have rub and buff. Yeah, it's like a grease paint. Yeah, Wipe it on, wipe it off, like wax on, wax off. So
little goes a long way. That's a big thing with rub and buff.
Nothing. Anybody in chat, if you have anything you'd like to ask, please do so. And I have links in the description below to Shane's channel if you'd like to subscribe to him. And whenever you guys come on these live streams, the first thing I do when I watch a live stream or watch a video, I hit the thumbs up button and support, and then I watch a video. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments. It all helps the person, the content creator. Interaction helps everybody. It helps them to keep bringing back content. And it's like when you print something, you post pictures on Facebook or Twitter, and you get a thumbs up or you get a heart. People love comments. They spend days, weeks printing, making something, and have somebody scroll by and just give them a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Leave a comment. You know, tell them what you think. Everybody loves having comments. Or they appreciate your words, whether they're good or bad. They appreciate what you have to say. They love feedback and interaction. So that's my rant for the day.
Well, also, I'll add to that, it's Thingiverse. I'm actually horrible at it, and I acknowledge that, and I'm trying to do better. But when you print somebody's model off Thingiverse, take a quick photo with your phone and upload the make, and let people see that people are actually creating this. If they see 10,000 downloads of an object and 3 makes, they're like, "Oh, wow, this thing must print like crap. Like, it looks cool, but must print horribly." Well, if you upload a make, it lets that creator get that much more exposure, because that's a live feed at the bottom of Thingiverse. Is the makes. As people upload them, that's right there at the bottom. You can go and see everybody who's uploading makes of things. I guess that's better at it. I print so much stuff. I really need to be better at it, but I always try to promote that as well for everyone.
I always give a link and credit to who designed it. I always say at the bottom of the picture on Facebook or Twitter that it came from here if they want to click on it and print it. But yeah, you're right. I rarely go back after the fact and put a picture on that man's page. I have on a Hulk I did years ago off of my mini factory, but I rarely go back and post pictures. But I do post links on where I share it at to give them credit that way, where people can just click on it and go download it. Because as everybody knows, the favorite word you see on Facebook is STL, STL, STL. Everybody wants the STL. So just list it from the get-go, and then you can avoid that. What do we have here? Oh, that's that one you were just working on.
Yeah, so this is the one that I was talking about. So this is my entry into the cheap 3D printer design challenge. So I actually designed and created this 100% from scratch. I was very inspired by a few different printers. So the Ender 2, which I loved that printer. It was very hard to get rid of that one. It worked great. Small build volume, but it was a great printer. Also the Prusa Mini also inspired this printer as well, and the Ender 3, because of the way the Y rail is 2040 but upright, which makes it a little bit taller on the Y there to give you clearance more in the bottom. I took that from the Ender 3 design. So I used a couple different printers, mashed them together to create this. This is a $127 printer. So every single bit, piece, and part in there, $127. It's 177 by 172 by 200 millimeter build volume.
Wow.
But so nice. Far, it's printing fairly well. Still need a little more tweaking to do on it. I'm trying to learn Idea Maker. Everyone and their mother is now going to Idea Maker, so I'm trying it out as well, but it's a little daunting at first, I'll say that.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Ben Brady said he's moved all his models off Thingiverse and put them on Cults. I'm not sure why, but I know the Cults Thingiverse is really slow loading. And recently, you can't see how many who downloaded what. You can't see the comments, and you can't. I just like when I buy on Amazon, I love seeing reviews. If there's no reviews, I'm not buying the product. I want to see good and bad. Now, sure, a lot of people buy whatever they buy and they don't know how to use it and they leave bad reviews. So just read enough of them, you kind of get a real good idea. But they kind of took that away, it looks like.
Yeah, they're still having a lot of design problems with their website. But actually, Aaron as well is, I think he just said the other night, because someone cloned his object that he just uploaded 2 days ago. Even they modified it, re-uploaded it to Thingiverse, but never gave him the remix credit. So, but at least on Cults, they're going to pay through Thingiverse. I've gotten, $1 or $2 via PayPal. Someone you can tip the designer, which is very nice to do. But on Cults, you can charge 50 cents for a model. Actually, the electronics enclosure that we used for Megatron is one that we remixed, we being Aaron, remixed from somebody on Cults. So I went ahead and bought the file. Even though Aaron sent me the file to use, I bought that person's file for 85 cents just because they were the ones that used it, and I wanted to give a credit back to them. So I gave them their 85 cents for the model. Why not? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're using now for it.
Yeah, I occasionally tip people on Thingiverse, not all the time, but occasionally I do. If I print more than one of something, like with Pets Fang from David, I got Pets Fangs on most B2 on most of my printers. I think I sent him $10 on 2 different occasions. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends how the money situation is.
It's a very popular model. I ran that in the AlphaWise U10 before I nuked it.
And he's wondering, what is your favorite print, guys? Well, as far as for me, every time I download and print anything, if the print comes out good, that's my favorite. And as you can see behind me, I got carried away. But if the print comes out good, I don't really have one particular favorite or a couple particular. I like a lot of things. So
I'll give you another one here. So this is the Wingman from Titanfall, and 2 different colors. It's about 20 different parts to put together, all glued together. So the blue and black are all printed separately. It's split down the middle here. But yeah, this was just a super duper cool. This is my first multi-part, multi-colored thing that I ever printed out, and a lot of this was printed on the Ender 2 when I had it, and the Anycubic i3 Mega. But it's just a super duper cool object weapon from Titanfall, and I really wanted to print more of these different objects from the video games. Just kind of fell to the wayside.
What was your layer height? 0.20?
Yeah, 0.2. I pretty much only print at 0.2. Unless I'm printing something super duper large, I'll go ahead and do a large nozzle, or I'll print at 0.3 for like draft. But generally speaking, 0.2 is plenty for literally anything out there. 0.1 just takes too long, and I really am not that I'm not that patient.
Yeah, Llama says, Shane, try Raise 3D beta profile site for Idea Maker. Works surprisingly well.
Yeah, I actually shared that in the Discord when they announced that. I got actually an email from them about that announcement, and it looks really cool. Have not tried it yet. But again, when you have 20-some printers, creating new profiles with a new program for 20 printers is an extremely daunting project, because I mostly use Simplify 3D for everything. I've gotten more into Prusa Slicer for some of the newer things like the Bear, Megatron. Some of my newer printers, I've started to use Prusa Slicer from the get-go, but I end up reverting back to Simplify 3D just because it works so much better. It's easier to use. I like Prusa Slicer, but also some of the issues that they have with the program, I'm not very happy with, like some of their movement issues. I've talked to Chris Warkocki about it before, and that's why a lot of people are moving to Idea Maker, because it's better. So I just need to spend some time to get in there. There's the Warkocki.
Here's Warkocki and Joe talking to each other.
More like arguing with each other.
I have a designer next month that might be making a mini me. I sent him a picture of both of these. I believe they're both from Wexter. And I sent him a picture of me and what these roughly look like. And he said next month, if he has time, he might design a mini me. And if I do get one that resembles me, I'm going to print it out, show it off. I'll put it up on Thingiverse so people can print it out and go, look, I got a Jerry Knapp.
There you go.
So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, Ben brought up the payment issue. So yeah, My Manufacturing and Cults both have a payment program where you can actually have somebody buy your STL. Also Gumroads, I think that's what Angus uses, is Gumroads. That one's not as much well known, But yeah, that's why a lot of people are moving over there. Again, if it's only 50 cents for a model, if you just want to get something for your time creating it, also don't undervalue your object, but also don't overvalue your object. There's a lot of things I see on the design programs that are just like, I mean, they're like $30-$40. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay 30 or 40 bucks for a model. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
You
pay that much for the file, and you got to print it, your time and your power. Yeah.
It's a lot of money just to buy a model that you then have to print.
Back in the day, well, not back in the day, I'm new to 3D printing. I've been into it about 3.5 years, but a lot of models were real expensive. And as more and more designers got into it and started flooding the market, of course, it drove down the price. So usually you pay $10, $15 for most things. And then if they're expensive, they're $25. But that's, it doesn't happen as often. But then again, I'm talking about models like stuff you see around me that I print.
It's different too. Like if I really wanted a particular helmet, like a Mandalorian style helmet, or something like that, I would pay the money for something like that because that's more tangible. But I mean, printing something for something small, I don't know. For just some little model of something it just doesn't seem like it's worth that much to me.
Here's a resin print. This was resin printed, and I sprayed it with high gloss. I primered it gray, hit it with a high gloss black, airbrushed it, and then I hit it with a rattle can, like a chrome metallic. I've still got obviously more work to do on it. And I had drain holes at the bottom of it. And I believe I had one in the head too. And then here's a bigger version, like I showed earlier, that has a lot of problems. I thought about trying to sand it out and save this. It's made out of PETG, Sunlu, and then ZYLTECH from here up. But I'm probably just going to trash this into the junk bin and reprint it and try to get this printer dialed in better, because that's just too much sanding to try to get those that Z banding off of it. Yeah, I probably won't keep that. BBD Brian Vines, hello, how you doing? Mad Monkey, how you doing, Mad Monkey? David Houchin, Ben Brady, Andrew S. If somebody in chat we didn't say hi to, we apologize. I try to pull the comments up on screen. I appreciate you all for stopping by. You're at the tail end of our stream, but thank you for coming by. Please rewatch this later and share it. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you want to do. You go back to my pictures here and see if we got anything else to show. Okay, this is off the subject, but here's my two wonderful girls that I have living here, Sandy and Nikita. The brown and white one on the left, I've had her for probably a little over a month now. She's a rescue dog. And then that's my other girls, Nikita, the black one on the right. They're both great. So they get to meet their new mommy tonight when my wife gets back at 7:45 here in Vegas. I got to go up to the airport and pick her up. So, and the Hypercube I was talking about, I'm not sure if I showed this earlier, but this is the one I was talking about. It's 400 by 400 by 500. That was a lot of fun putting that together.
It's a fun project. I recommend, these type of scratch builds, once you have one or two printers and you're looking for like that next project, don't buy another Ender 3 or something like that. Build something. Print the parts and build it. Whether you buy a kit or whether you source all the parts yourself, it's so rewarding to do all that work and then get that print going and then it's working. It's so rewarding to see that. It's also the epic letdown if it doesn't work, but it's super cool to actually make something. Like when I got the first print off Megatron, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. We made this. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah. That's most of the fun about the hobby, is building and changing. Even if it breaks down, you're fixing it. You're keeping your mind active. You're enjoying what you're doing. Just kick on, have Alexa play Metallica or something in the background and have a blast. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. If it works perfect and all you do is print, it's boring. You need something to work on. You need it to break down or challenge you. At least I do. I enjoy working on things. So, but right out of the box, if you follow the instructions, you should get beautiful prints. If, you should. That's why they released it. It should be perfect out of the box, unless they sent you something to test and then they want to work out the kinks.
Yep. So we're coming to the end of the hour here. Is there any other questions that you have for me?
No, I guess that's about it. Let's see. I was going to ask you, are you married? Do you have kids, pets? If I could ask.
Yeah. So I am married. I've been married for, I'm married now 12 years now. And I have 5 kids. So quite the big full household. It's a very full-time job as a parent, and it's actually been nice with the pandemic going on right now. I can spend a lot more time at home with all my kids and kind of enjoy the younger years. They're all very young. My oldest is 10, so having 5 under 10 is quite the deal. And we have quarantine pets now. So we got a bunny, and then a week later we got a rescue cat. both have been doing very well and enjoying the life here. The cat's very well tempered around my kids, which is surprising because they all hold him like this, and he's like, "Oh my God, let me go!" But he's totally chill with it. It's very surprising for a wild cat to be that domesticated so quickly around all the kids.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for being on today. You're awesome. Like I say, everybody, he streams 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday for a maker hangout. He's a great guy, got a great channel. And like I said, each and every week, I try to have different interesting people on here. It's been great, Shane. Please stick around real quick. I'd like to talk to you real quick after the stream. But thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been awesome. Have a great day and happy printing, everybody.